Today we'll be talking about this huge parabolic run by Ethereum, and it seems like it's going to be breaking its all-time high last January 2018. At the same time, let's see what will be the market behavior now that Bitcoin is on the sideway.
This is Healthy Minds giving you bites and pieces of crypto news.
What's going on to Ethereum and what's going on also with the dollar index. At the same time, we're going to check the coin market cap and the Bitcoin dominance. So stay tuned and let's see what will be the next target. Seems like we are breaking already Ethereum's all-time high and we're setting a new record. So stay tuned. Checking the Ethereum chart right now, as you can see that we are on the bridge of breaking this all-time high last January 2018 for the Ethereum. So with this, let's try to see what would be the next possible target weekly time frame. Let's see if there will be any confluence on the price target, because if we actually break this all-time high for 2018, definitely target discovery. The best tool that we use is the fib extension. So from here, we're going to consider this as our lowest from this trend, and this will be the wave 1 going to wave 2, 1, 2. See here that we are actually extending up to this point, but just to have a further analysis and check the confluence, we're going also to check this fib retracement and see if what it's gonna be expecting from here. And as you can see, this is actually looking good. As we can see, the confluence between the 1.236 and the 3.618 of extension and the fib retracement. As the same time, we could actually see this in a weekly time frame, the possibility of we will be having a double, almost double in price, around 2,300, 2,400. But again, just like I mentioned, this is gonna be in a weekly time frame. So in few weeks, just like what happened to Bitcoin, we might actually get this huge target. So how do you think this is going to play? Is this just like Bitcoin that we will actually have a some correction here before we actually move to our target, or it seems like the bulls will actually continue to push through on this, and the possibility of having a finding a support from this level around 1,300, 1,200. And then if we able to break this one, we might actually do another test before we run to this 1.23 fib extension. And if we will have that one, we might again try to test this before we go to the final target. This is going to be a huge run. So let's see what will be the next move on Ethereum. But it seems to me that this is such a strong move, given that we're just starting the week. So what do we actually see now in Ethereum versus Bitcoin? So from here, we could clearly see that we just made a breakout. Checking the last June 2018, we actually created this huge downtrend. And as you can see, we tried to test it last August 2020, but failed. And we made another push back downwards. And finally, this time, after testing it 3 weeks ago, we had another rejection before we finally break this now. So this is actually a huge run. As you can see here, if we're going to measure it from this breakout, it's around already 11%, 12%. We actually reached already the 14% mark for this short run just for today. So let's see what will happen next. I think the lower time frame in Ethereum, actually clearly see here that we had just a rejection. We registered here around 1,438.3 to be exact. Seems like we are having some sellout, taking some profit from the institutions and people who bought really on the huge run of this Ethereum. And there's a possibility that we might find some support on this range. You could clearly see that we had a previous resistance from here at around 1,350. Here another resistance. So there's a big possibility that this previous resistance will be tested again. So we might have a downward action a bit on rejection before we other test from the all-time high. But let's see what will happen here. Looking on the strength of the market and the other indicators, right now we are on the downward path. So clearly we have a bearish divergence in the RSI, while the price is going up. We could see here that we had a bearish on the relative strength, but this is such a parabolic run, so this might play a little bit. We might even get some support on around 1,300, 1,400 range. So, and it might bounce. So the scenario here is it might even do this play and then try testing it again, and we might even break it from the second attempt. But comparing to Bitcoin, last time we tried to break the 2017 all-time high, we actually played few days there before we able to broke the 20,000. You can see in this Bitcoin play, we even had a huge dump here around 16-17% before we tried attempting going back again. And when we tried to attempt it on the second time, we had another rejection again, and we went down up to 11%, 12% before we attempt to move out and break this all-time high of 2017. So let's see where we could find support on Ethereum. So far, this is the play that we could see. If this will not play out like this, as a given scenario, we might even go back and test this again before we attempt again to break this one. On the MACD, as you can see, we also have a bearish divergence on our MACD, and seems like the MACD is starting to go below again that signal. Let's try to check other time frame. On the 1 hour, we don't have any divergence yet. So as you can see, it's also going up. Both of them are going up. In 4 hours, seems very good still. Even on this part, we had still an up trend. So it seems like only 15 minutes mark is giving us that divergence, but for the other time frame, we are looking good. So this correction might be short-lived only, and as I said, it depends on the strength of the bulls. It might even break it right now. If that's the case, then if this will break here, the projection that we did a while ago might play out. But this is in a short time frame compared to the weekly time frame that we showed a while ago. Checking the fib extension on the lower time frame, 4 hours, we might actually reach the 1,500 range. If we will consider this as one, this will be the second wave. We're on the making of the third wave. So 1, 2, 3, we might get this one before we have another correction here, and finally move to the next level of target. This part, 1, 2, 3, could be like this. There's also a possible scenario that you could check on. So expect a profit taking on this level, especially if we are touching the previous all-time high last 2018. And from there, I hope it will help you plan your targets on how you should play this asset. Checking the market cap, it shows here that we are still above the 1.6 to 5 trillion. So seems like the market is very healthy. Everything is in green. And as you can see here, Ethereum is already in a huge trend for the last 7 days of 30 plus in percentage. And then we actually had a following like Cardano and even Chainlink at 50%. Wow, this is such a huge run. And Uniswap at 72%, Aave at 65%. We are having a massive movement on the altcoins while Bitcoin is on the sideways. And if you remember last post that I actually did on my blog here in Estimate, I actually wrote here the analogy on why this is actually happening. So if you wish to see the analogy, but for a quick review, I mentioned here already that if in scenario and when BTC is on an uptrend, alts may have lag a bit, but it will consolidate. Then it might have a huge correction, or I mean, it might have a correction, but after a while, it will pump, just like what's happening on the BTC. But when BTC is on the sideways, expect that altcoins are pumping, and that's what we can see right now. So if you wish to check the full details of this blog, feel free to check the details down below on our video. And feel free to see our analysis for the past 3 years, some E-Wave analysis as well. But for this blog, we clearly shows here 4 scenarios that you could actually review what will be the behavior of the market if Bitcoin is running upward, downward, or sideways, or if we will have a huge dump in the Bitcoin. Definitely it will affect the rest of the alts. But for right now, as Bitcoin right in a sideways, you see here that the alts are really exploding. So we need to identify this type of market, this characteristic of Bitcoin that affect the alts as well as the fundamentals. Speaking of fundamentals, checking DXY or the dollar index, as you can see here, we clearly had a rejection on around 91 points, and right now we are being pushed back again downward. So let's see what will happen if dollar will be able to find some support on 90.3 before it to have a bounce or continue. But so far, as we know, US already had another stimulus package. Inflation through the currency of dollars are really pumping. And for the last quarter or even the half of the year, almost 30-40% of all the circulation dollars has been printed by the central bank and the federal bank. So definitely it will have an effect on the US market, especially when it talk about the dollar index when it comes to the dollar compared to the world currency. Better always be updated for you to be able to see the full view on what's going on in the market.
So feel free to support the channel, hit that bell button, like this video and share it. And let's talk about any comments or queries on this video.